Hello everyone, me again, here to talk to you this week about some incredible blended whiskies from the gentleman at Turntable Whiskies. This one is One Way or Another, and this has got me written all over it. For those of you that are relatively new to the channel, about this time last year actually, we reviewed some pretty awesome blends from the folks at Turntable. Smoking Riff was like the key one. It had tons of Kalila in it, it was beautiful. All retail for about under £60 at 46% or more. This one is called One Way or Another, and they sent it to me in this little sample bowl. Very kind of them to send this stuff through because I ended up purchasing them. Smoking Riffs sat in that cluster of bottles over there somewhere. This is a blend, but it's mostly grain. Like of the 5 whiskies that are in it, 4 of them are grain, and then we just have 1 malt whiskey. But I'll read out what the contents is. We have 30% of the whiskey is first fill bourbon barrels from Strathclyde. 21% of the whiskey is ex-red wine casks from Invergordon. 15% of the whiskey is ex-marsala casks from Cameronbridge. We then have some ex-madeira barrels from Cameronbridge, that makes up 12%. And the only malt in the whole thing is first fill bourbon barrels from Linkwood. And at this point, you are just speaking my language. Give me everything you have of this whiskey. Just incredible stuff. It's 78% grain, 22% malt. I'm not that quick with the maths, it was just written down here. And I'll try and get this focused in. This is what the full-size bottle looks like. So if you're in a retailer near you somewhere, it's got this beautiful punk-esque packaging. And then here are the numbers, just so if any of you want to grab a screenshot of that. Hopefully it's the right way round. Apologies for my shaky hands. I've drank a lot of coffee today. It's been that kind of day. It's a Monday full of admin. Nose, taste. Oh, you get the grain, right? I know a lot of people maybe won't be fans of grain. I do like grain whiskey quite a lot. I drink it quite a lot at home. I make some cocktails with it because it's a good way to get people into whiskey who may not have tried whiskey before. And old grain is very affordable. Arguably not as complex, but significantly more affordable than old single malt whiskies, and old Irish whiskey, and old bourbon. Bourbon is grain whiskey, just American. But this has all of the good notes, and that little bit of kind of slightly plasticky note that you get from blended, from grain whiskey too, and blended whiskey in turn. If you have a sweet tooth, and you don't want to get into bourbon because you might find it a bit too spicy, because it can be. Bourbon is both sweet and spicy. Grain whiskey is the way forward. Tends to be refill casks. In this case, we've got red wine, Madeira barrels, Marsala barrels, and bourbon barrels, which is particularly unusual for a blend, or certainly a blend that they want to make you aware of the contents of it. The nose is just all of these lovely salted caramel, sweet vanilla, pastry dessert sections. I recently had, it's been a while since I've had one, but in England we are famous for our biscuits. And a particularly famous biscuit in this country is a custard cream, which is 2 little biscuits with some, essentially like, it's not frozen, but it's like solid kind of creme patissier in between it. It's essentially a vanilla creme cream, and this just smells of custard cream. Those beautiful, enriching, sweet, like childhood smells. And as a result of that, there is a nice custardy note to it as well. Being honest, I'm struggling to get Madeira and Marsala, certainly red wine. This has been in the glass for about half an hour. Or maybe I do get a little bit of red wine. There is like a red fruity note. It's quite tart though. It's coming across like raspberry. Still though, enticing, welcoming. This is a limited edition bottle. I don't believe the boys have stated how many of them are released. They have not, as far as I'm aware. I will provide some sort of link in the comments, the info box, to say how much of it is available and indeed where it is available if this takes your interest. But yeah, it just smells like childhood. One Way or Another too, what a great song. Some absolutely terrible covers of that song as of recent history. But Yeah, I think that's like, you know, that guitar riff, the down, 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 down. As soon as you hear that guitar riff, it's very difficult to forget. Fun fact for you, met someone in events planning the other day in my job, and they were looking for a bottle of Laphroaig Law. 2 bottles, actually. We were sadly out of stock. Turns out, Blondie's favourite whiskey. Now, I don't know if that's Debbie Harry in particular, or someone else in the band, but Laphroaig Law is a popular whiskey of the folks in Blondie. There you go. Let's taste this and see where it's going to take us. Okay. So you don't smell them, but you taste Madeira and red wine. Wonderfully oily texture. I forgot to mention, this is 46% with no colouring and no chill filtration. I don't know how old it is, but it tastes wonderful. So, very oily texture, starts to fill in every little crevice of your mouth. Out of nowhere, this slight kind of cherry note. Cherry, that tart raspberry thing comes back. I think you'd probably call it strawberry too. There's almost like a very candied, sugary strawberry note running through it. Still in huge volume is the caramel and the vanilla, the salted caramel, milk chocolate. And the finish gives you just this very subtle, kind of herbaceous green finish, which I can only really associate with malted barley and vis-a-vis the Linkwood that is in this. Linkwood again is also like a very pear drop, sweet green fruit kind of Speyside with its huge swan neck stills. This is delightful. While I taste it, I'm going to Google it just so we can get an actual price. Again, Marsala, I'm not really picking up on. Madeira though, sticky toffee pudding, date flavours. Yeah, Tindrum Whisky have this for £64.90. Again, doesn't state how many were produced, but it does state limited edition. From my experience, the folks at Turntable work in very small numbers. So it probably has at a guess maybe like 1,000, maybe 2,000 bottles. Walnuts. Someone's going to soundbite that. I swear I'd turn it into a meme. But I was getting kind of walnutty and a little bit drier. I really like that. I like that actually a lot more in terms of flavour and depth, even though it just leans sweet, more so than the Compass Box Canvas we did last week. I think this has got me written all over it, so my bias may be playing into this a little bit, but that is delicious. I'll probably end up purchasing that as we edit this video. That's really good. Like if you just generically like whiskey, have a sweet tooth, are into music, this brand really is worth paying attention to. They do wonderful things. I'll try and put their socials below in the bio box. But yeah, I think I'm going to give that like a solid 8 out of 10. That is as interesting and as affordable as the Loch Lomond I've tried, the Ardnamurchan mid-G release. You know, those flavours which they're just direct and it does what it says on the tin. It's not trying to be anything else. It's just sweet and lovely and kind of unctuous. But yeah, thank you the boys at Turntable for sending that through. We do have another one to review. This will be next week. And my god, the cask contents of this and the strength are particularly incredible. So if you liked this review, next week's one is even bigger. But yeah, thank you so much for sending those samples through. I'm so happy to be able to like try these things because they end up ticking my boxes anyway. But yeah, That's an 8 out of 10. I will see you all next week and for something punky. Thank you.